Okay, in this video, we're going to start off with our new template that we created, um, and I've supplied that template to you in Angel, so make sure that you use the one I supplied to you rather than the one that you created on your own to make sure that we're all consistent, we all have the same settings. Right now I'm in model space, and we'll go ahead and get started. This object, if you'll notice from top to bottom, has symmetry, and you can see a center line that runs horizontally through the object. And symmetry means that the objects on below the center line there are the same as the objects above the center line. It's just they're kind of mirrored across that line. So keep that in mind as we go through this construction. This will be a little bit different than what we've done in the past, and I'll also introduce you to some new commands as we go through. So the way I want to start this object is I want to go to my center layer, and I will create a horizontal line. Make sure that you either have your polar tracking or ortho turned on, and I want it to go from left to right across the screen and let it be a distance of 6.3. Okay. Now, usually I want to create the construction lines on the construction layer, which I'm kind of going to do, but I'm going to offset. I started off with this center line. When I offset, it's going to offset a center line instead of a construction line, which is fine. We'll just go back and change it. So I'm going to kind of create a grid here by using this line as an offset. Okay, so I'm going to start the offset command. So I'm going to type O and then enter. And the first offset I want to do is 0.6. So I'll type in 0.6, enter, and then I'll click on the line and then click below. Okay, and then I'll do that again for 0.8. And let's see, let's do it again for 1.5. And notice I'm starting at the top line each time that I offset down. And I think that's probably all I need to do. Now I want to go ahead and switch these to the construction layer. So I'll just highlight those, I'll window those out, and then select construction, and it changes it to the correct layer. Okay, so I want to use the X line command, which is the construction line command. But before I do that, I want to switch to the construction layer. By the way, X line can be used on any layer, but I'm creating construction lines, so let me use the construction layer. So I'll type in X line and then enter. And you see on the options I'm given horizontal, vertical, angle, bisect, offset. Okay, and I want to create some vertical construction lines. So let me just type V, and then enter. And I will just click at the end point of this line. Okay. And now I have a construction line. Now the X line command creates a line that runs to infinity. It doesn't matter how far I zoom out, I'm able to see the construction line. So you could have just used a regular line if you would have wanted to, but just to show you the X line command, I figured I would show that to you. Okay, so I'm going to do some offsets from left to right, and I want to offset by the radius of the arc, okay, which is 0.56. So O, enter, 0.56, enter. Oop, select the object and then offset to the right. And now I want to offset by 3.5. I want to offset the line I just offset by 3.5. So I want to re-enter the offset command. 3.5 is my distance. Select the line and then click to the right. And then offset by 1.6. Okay, and all the way from the well, I could just copy a line and snap it to the endpoint here, but offset 6.3. Okay, so if you'll notice, I'm just working below my center line that I've created, and I'm going to show you a command a little bit later that'll create this part almost automatically. Okay, so let's I may have to go back and Oh, you know what? I need to do it right now. So let me O enter and then 3.3 enter. And I'm going to offset from this line here back to the left. Okay, that 3.3 dimension is given on the top of the object. Okay, so let me switch to my visible layer, and now I will work on creating my visible lines. The first thing I want to do is create the R.56 arcs, okay, or at least this one. So basically, I don't want to forget about it. So let me use the circle command to do that. So C, enter, and I want the center point of the circle to be here. So I want to type in INT for a one-time override to make sure it's clicking to the intersection. And then I will click, I will just make the second point of the circle the end point of my construction line. So I'll type END. Okay. And that is the what will be the 0.56 radius arc. Okay. From the end point of this line or the quadrant of the circle, I want to draw a line straight up to the end point of that line. And now I will draw a line from the quadrant of this circle to the perpendicular. I want to be perpendicular. You can see my perpendicular snap to the gray line seen here. Now, just to be certain that you went to the correct line, you can do a couple of things. You can click on the line that we created, and that line length needs to be 3.5, which is correct according to the properties palette. Or you could use the distance command. You could type in DI and then enter, and click on one endpoint of the line and then the other. And either way, you find out that line is. And the reason I pointed that out is because all these lines are gray, and you want to make sure that you're snapping to the correct line and not making an error there. Okay, so now from this point, we need to draw a line angled 15 degrees up. Okay, well, if we have our polar tracking turned on, an increment angle that will divide evenly into 15 degrees, then we can do this pretty easily. Okay, so my increment angle is already set at 15 degrees, which is perfect. You could also have it set to 5. Either one would work fine, but 15 is better. Okay, so from the end point of this line, I want to draw a line 15 degrees up. Now I'm going to draw it beyond where it needs to be trimmed off. Okay, so I can make sure to see my polar tracking line. And make sure it's exactly 15 degrees. So once I see my polar tracking line, I want to left click and then use the trim command to trim anything beyond this edge. Now this edge, the distance between these two lines is 1.6. Okay, so anything beyond that edge I want to get rid of. So I want to type in TR, enter. I want to click on this construction line and then enter, and then click on that line, and it gets rid of everything that I don't need. Okay, so now from this point, you can see we're given a 135 degree angle. Okay, now they don't exactly explicitly give you the angle that you need to use, but remember that if it's 135 from here to the angled line, okay, then a straight line is 180 degrees. So 180 degrees minus 135 is 45. Okay, which is the angle that we need to use. And let me just draw the angle, and I'll start at the end point of this line. And again, my polar tracking angle is set to 15, which divides evenly into 45. So I'm just going to rotate that around until I see the 45 tracking line. And once I see that, I'll left click. Okay, now anything beyond this line I want to get rid of. So TR, enter, click that line, enter, and then click that line, and it goes away. So just to show you, you don't have to add this to your drawing, and please don't. I want to click on this line and then this angled line. Well, oh, it's a construction line. I don't think it'll let me dimension to it. I'll put a temporary line in here. So DIM ANG, and then I'll click on this line. Okay, just to make sure that this is exactly 45. I'm going to change my precision. Oh, I need to change the dimension style to standard before I can do that. And then right click and change my precision to 4. Okay, you can see this is exactly 135 degrees.